Sveiki, mėly Vilties miesto studijos svečiai, dalyviai, žiūrovai ir klausytojai. Mes vėl susitinkam iš mūsų Vilties miesto studijos šiandien miške, Šventojoje ir bendraujam su nuostabia viešnia iš Jungtinių Amerikos valstijų, Ohajo, Akrono miesto, Irene. Šiandieną kalbamės apie čia susirinkusių žmonių šventę, stovyklą, apie kurią mums Irene ir papasakos. Tai yra 12 žingsnių dalyvių, 12 žingsnių programos dalyvių kasmetinis susitikimas. Dear Irene, so nice to have you here. In the celebration, as you said, it is a celebration. I asked you, is it a camp or is it a meeting? And you said it is a celebration. And I caught this word, which is so wonderful, because 12 Steps program, as I believe many of our viewers and listeners know, it's not so much, it doesn't come from the fun, as celebration usually means for us. So who brings you here, or what brings you here, and how come you are here with us in Lithuania?
I was invited by the organizers of this celebration. This is, I understand, a yearly celebration of sobriety and also joy with the family and children. So it's like a summer camp. For everyone. If they asked me would I come, and I said I'll be more than happy to come because I feel that this is a celebration when the whole family can be together and the sobriety is present.
Wonderful. So this camp, this meeting is not only for the members of 12-step programs, but also for their families as well.
Yes, that's why this is like a yearly celebration. It's something that basically is very important to the families who have some kind of an addiction or who had addiction before or who are working on addiction, because this way the whole family can be together and have fun, but also can learn how to function in a real world.
Yes, addiction is a big suffering and pain,
yes,
not only
yes,
for the
person. Very difficult for the whole family. A wife, Annie, of Dr. Bob's in Akron, Ohio, in 1935 said, and this is a direct quote, that alcoholic or addicted person does not suffer alone. The whole family suffers alone. So if the addicted, if the alcoholic try to get well, then the whole family needs to participate in it. And that's why celebrations like this, it's basically a celebration of everybody joining together, trying to live a much better, happier, sober, dry life.
Yes, that's so true. That's so important. And you mentioned, I just heard the date, 1935.
Yes.
So
89 years ago.
89 years ago, the 12 Steps program for the addicted persons started in the world. Yes. In America, in Akron town or city.
Yes, in a small town. What I usually say is it's a small house on a small street in a small town in Ohio that a great idea started.
Could you please tell us a little bit, our viewers, maybe some people know, maybe some don't, but if we start this show or this talk together, the purpose of it is that as many people as possible could hear, and even those who never heard about 12 Steps program and the origins of it could know even a little bit of the origins, and then later on maybe go and look for more information.
Exactly. There is a lot of information in different languages translated, most of it in English, obviously. But we have to remember that it started out from two men. And one man, Bill W., who lived in New York. He already had about 4.5 years of sobriety. He was finally sober after many years of trying and many years of very difficult things. He was unemployed after the big crash of when the stock market fell apart in 29. So all this, he finally found a way. He found religion. He was a member of the Oxford group, which was a religious group, a Christian group. And he came to Akron, Ohio on a business with hopes that he will finally get some kind of a job. He was representative of the investors, and they were hoping to take over a small company, and his hope was that he will become a president of that company. He will finally have a job and be somebody. It was a very important thing to him, because he was 4.5 months sober, and it seemed like he was going nowhere. And he came to Akron, and the whole thing fell through. It fell apart. He was in a very, very fancy, expensive for that time hotel, in a small town that was very, very wealthy. Akron was a very wealthy town, one of the wealthiest in the United States, because of the rubber companies. That were 5 factories making tires. And that's why there was advertising jobs in Akron, Ohio, all over the United States, and people were coming. So there were jobs. There was a lot of really a very, very good environment for to make money and be rich. So here he was. He was staying in the best luxurious hotel at that time. We have to remember that. The hotel was built, yes, it was built only for wealthy and influential people. And at that time, 1935, the advertising of the hotel was that every room had a radio. So it was a deluxe. So here's Bill in this deluxe hotel, and the deal did not go through. He is in a total despair. And he doesn't even have enough money to come back home of his own.
And knowing that he is just a few months sober.
And he has a few months sober, so his first thought was in this fancy hotel with all those people around, nicely dressed and so on. So his first thought was, I need a drink.
Exactly.
And especially since it was a bar a few steps up, and in that bar there was music, and we heard the glasses and all the stuff, the alcohol.
It's like music for alcoholics.
Yes, exactly. But he also realized that if he would go and drink, he would lose everything that he worked so hard for this 4.5 months. We also know that for many years he was trying to be sober. There is a Bible in which he wrote to his wife, never again. Over 30 times he wrote notes in the Bible. I'll never again. I'll quit tomorrow. I will not drink again. On and on and on. So he knew all that if you go and drink, this whole thing will fall apart again for him. So second thought, he thought, in New York, I stayed sober because I worked with alcoholics on a Skid Row. Didn't save anyone, nobody got sober, but I was sober. So maybe I need to talk to another alcoholic. And now how does he find an alcoholic in a strange town, in a fancy hotel? Yes? Well, in America, there is a tradition, it's a standard, that in every hotel there is a list of churches, because we have a lot of different denominations, different churches and so on. So there is always a list of churches by the phone, and with a name of the priest or pastor and a phone number. And so Bill was looking at this long list, and there was a name, Reverend Tunks. And to Bill made a connection with his youth when he was in the woods, and a very lonely person. He was lonely. His father left when he was young, and his mother left him and his daughter was grandparents because she was studying medicine. So his loneliness in the woods was a very big part of his past, of his life. So when he connected this name with the woods, it just kind of clicked for him, and he felt that this is a person that he will get in touch with. So he calls a man And the Reverend Tonks told him that he knows nothing about, don't know alcoholics, don't know, but he can help him, give him names and phone numbers to people, maybe he can find somebody. So out of all those names, he called, and and he doesn't know what it was called. Some people said, I don't know what you're talking about, and so on. And he comes to the very last name. And the very last name is the name of a man, one of the wealthiest men, the robber baron, really very, very wealthy man. And he looks at this name and he says, I cannot call it. This is a wealthy, what's they going to do with me?
Yeah.
But this is the last name. He doesn't have it. It's his last chance. So he takes a chance, he calls, and the woman answers. And it's a daughter-in-law of the robber baron. She is living in a gatehouse, which is actually, the baron lived in a huge palace, but the gatehouse was like a regular house, family home, and she lived there because she was in the process of divorce. So her and her children lived there, and her husband lived at the palace. So she answered, and it was wonderful because she was a member of an Oxford group, the religious Christian group.
Right.
Dr. Bob was a member of the same group in Akron, Ohio, and Dr. Bob's wife, Annie, was a member of the group. And Annie and Henrietta Seiberling, the person who answers the phone, they were friends, and they were trying to find help for Dr. Bob. So it was a perfect match. So Henrietta said to Bill, Bill said that he is an alcoholic from New York, and that he needs to speak to another alcoholic, and she felt that that was a wonderful coincidence because really not coincidence, but a wonderful thing happened.
Right.
She said that it was a manna from heaven, that he is this man, and her and Dr. Bob's wife, Annie, looking for help, and he is an alcoholic. So she calls Annie and says, I have a person here from New York, and he can help Bob, so bring Bob. And Annie said, I cannot bring Bob because he's laying drunk under the table. So they decided that they will meet next day. And now the next day, Dr. Bob is in a hangover.
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
You was drunk yesterday.
Yes,
So.
and with his wife, their son is driving them in an automobile, and the Dr. Bob absolutely forces Annie to promise that they will only stay 15 minutes. In United States, it's accepted, it's a standard that you can come for a visit for 15 minutes, and then you can get up, say thank you, goodbye, and leave, and don't have to have any explanation. It's a standard thing, you can do that.
Yeah, it's like a rule everybody knows.
Yes, everybody understands. So that's why it's a 15 minutes. Because it was a standard, you come in, you visit it like a polite visit. So he will come. And so he made her promise on the way to the gatehouse. And now Henrietta and Bill stand in a gatehouse already because Bill was already there. And now Annie and Dr. Bob walks in, and Dr. Bob says to Bill, I have no time. My dear, I have no time. And Bob says, I understand. I also wanted to drink. And here's this connection of those two men that no one will understand if they don't have a problem. See, those two men was a problem, all of a sudden it clicked. There's this unusual connection of understanding, one understands the other. And of course, what it ended up to be is that it was 4.5 hour visit, that they sat at the library, small, tiny little room. They sat at the library and they talked. And after that, it was obvious that both of the men found something that was joining them. Now, we have to remember that they both were members of an Oxford group. Bill was an Oxford group in New York. Dr. Bob was an Oxford group in Akron, so that joins them. They also both were born in the state of Vermont and had a similar accent. So again, it was easier for them to find that connection was much stronger. It gave them this opportunity to kind of bond together very, very
Understand each
quickly.
other
Yes,
well.
yes. So that's the beginning.
That's the beginning.
Yes. Henrietta, who was, she was daughter-in-law of a very, very wealthy man. She really was in a difficult situation because the family of her husband did not support her. They were in process of divorce, and she felt like she was an outsider. They didn't get support from her in-laws, but she was a very giving person, very social person, and she was very active in Oxford groups. So to her, this was like a really something that she felt that she can do, that she can help. She was a very helpful person. So to her, that was like an opportunity to be of help to Dr. Bob and also to Bill. Bill, she organized, knew somebody at the golf course, and she organized that Bill stayed at the golf course for 2 weeks. There was a nice little, like a house, golf course house. He stayed there for 2 weeks, and then Annie and Dr. Bob invited him to stay with them in Akron, in that little house on a little street. And he stayed for 3 months. When he left in the fall, going back to New York, Dr. Bob and Bill had worked out the basics of the 12-step program.
I see. So that's the origins, that's the beginning, and the 12 steps program, as I understand, from this 1935 moment, spread around the world quite fast, as I understand.
In the beginning, it was very slow because it was person to person.
Okay.
So the beginnings were really slow, and Bill and Bob knew that they need to try this method as soon as possible. So they approached people. Dr. Bob was a doctor. He was a proctologist, and he worked at the city hospital. So Dr. Bob had a chance to find patients who would be next member maybe, or people that they could work with that method. They approached the person, Eddie, and unfortunately Eddie did not stay sober at that time. But 15 years later, Eddie came to the funeral of Dr. Bob's, and he was sober a year and a half. So that basically, that idea had a chance to kind of sprout through the 15 years, and he managed to have a sobriety at the Dr. Bob's funeral. But the next person, Bill D., he stayed sober. They worked with, they basically not so much worked with him. They told him that he can help them by listening to their story. And he thought, well, if that's a help that I can give, I will be more than glad to. So he did. And that's how they connected together, and he was a third AA. Or third future AA. They did not call this AA yet.
Okay.
It was basically alcoholics, and it was try to get them sober and try to keep the sobriety. Annie and Dr. Bob in Akron would take, if the alcoholics, a new person, if it had a family, they would take them home, to their home, and basically help them to stay sober and reach sobriety or maintain sobriety for the whole family. So sometimes the children of Dr. Bob and Annie had to go and sleep in the attic and leave their bedrooms because the alcoholic family lived there. And some families stayed 3 weeks, some families stayed a year. So, but that was on the beginning, it was a very slow process. When Bill went back to New York in September, he started like a clubhouse. First, he would bring drunks to his house, and eventually they would start meeting regularly at the clubhouse, and they basically formed a first group. The first group in New York, and the group calls themselves Nameless Drunks.
Nameless drunks. Not anonymous, but nameless.
No, that was nothing about anonymous yet, but Nameless Drunks. And eventually, about 2 years later, the name Alcoholics and Anonymous start coming up. that it was very important to keep it anonymous because some of the people who start coming in, they were professionals. And of course, at that time, nobody wanted alcoholics around them. People would be very prejudiced against that. So they were very careful. In the meantime, Dr. Bob and Bill, the first 3 months, they would go to the Oxford group. Dr. Bob would take the new alcoholics and new sober people with him to the Oxford group. And they stayed with the Oxford group in Akron, the first AA group in Akron. Stayed with the Oxford group for about 2.5 years. But then the Oxford group started feeling very uneasy. They were very unhappy because here they were about Christian religion, about spreading Christian.
Yes, theology, philosophy,
exactly, and
culture
so on.
studies,
yes,
all this.
And here they were coming alcoholics, and many of those alcoholics had nothing, and they had no influence. And the Oxford group was trying to reach the people at the highest positions of economical or political positions in the world. They believe that they can, by Christian values, they can change the world. So here those alcoholics are coming, penniless, have no money. And here an Oxford group is trying to reach the very high people.
Yeah, intellectuals.
So exactly. So there was a very deep conflict there. And eventually Dr. Bob and the alcoholic group broke off from the Oxford group completely. The way they did in the beginning, they would have an Oxford group meeting, and then they would have an alcoholic group meeting right after. And then they separated and they started having meetings in different places.
Yeah, and they became like a separate organization.
AA got registered by that time. There was a foundation. So there's a movement start growing on its own. But it started growing in two different settings. One was Bill in New York, was a club, like a sober club, and one was Dr. Bob. First was an Oxford group as an addition to Oxford group, and then all by itself.
Wonderful. So as always, this history of such important events or events that change the world, the history is always very, very interesting. But I would like to turn now to you, to your person, and seeing your age, I would say you are a contemporary of the events happening there in Akron.
Not really. Not
closer than I.
Yes. Yeah. Well, when I came to the United States in 1971, and Bill died in 1971 in the fall, 2 months after I came to the United States. I knew nothing about it.
Could you tell about yourself? How did you get involved in
the 12-step program?
In the 12-step program, because I could tell to our listeners that you are here in Lithuania giving talks in this camp, helping the participants of this celebration of the families meeting here of the those people suffering from alcoholism or other addictions. And you are here to help.
Yes. I basically have two roles in here at the camp. One is that I am a historian. That means I talk about the history of AA because I feel that it's very, very important that people understand where the things come from, why the meetings are a certain way, and so on. I am not an alcoholic myself, but I know the history. And I live in Akron, Ohio, and I am very interested in history, and I wanted everybody to know, because I feel that once you know and understand, you have an opportunity to change something or help somebody. My second role is I talk about families, about help for the families, because really people who are addicted, alcoholics or any other addiction, they don't live alone. Most of them have families. Of course, there are some individuals, but most of them have families, and the family suffer. Family is usually left behind with all the disasters that the addicted person leaves behind. And it's hard to understand why that person drinks, and why that person doesn't love me, or the person doesn't love the children. Why is he drinking? Or is the drink more important? And a lot of people don't understand that that's an addiction. That's really a type of a disease. It's an illness that it's absolutely horrible, and it's very powerful, And it basically makes a person a prisoner of its own life. And the family is left behind in ruins, basically.
In this helplessness and
Yes,
hopelessness.
absolutely. And I'm here to basically give families hope that there is a program for families, the 12-step programs for families, that a person can find help for themselves, can find themselves. When my husband was drinking, I didn't have time for me. I was so wrapped up. 90% of my life, my time, my life, my thinking, my action was connected with him. How to stop, how to change, how to explain what to do. And just basically sweeping the disaster, going behind him. I didn't have time to think that I was hungry. I didn't have time to think that I need rest. I didn't have time. I went to work because somebody had to work and earn the money.
Yeah.
We had to pay rent and so on. But I didn't have time for me. It was like I did not exist. And it was, and to me it seemed normal because I felt that I need to save him. That I need to make sure that he is all right, that he does not destroy everything, including himself.
And what happens is I see this illusion that you are so powerful.
Exactly. I managed. That means I'm okay.
Yeah.
But what happens is that a person like I did, I lost myself. I totally got lost in this. And of course, the despair. You love somebody and you watch them kill themselves slowly. I remember telling my husband that it hurts to watch you committing slow suicide, because it did. And that's why I'm trying to tell the families there is help for the family. Yes, you can live your life. Yes, you can find happiness no matter what that person is doing. Of course it takes work. Of course it takes understanding that I am important. When I went to a meeting for the families, I understood, all of a sudden I realized that I matter, that I am important, that I am a person, and that I deserve rest. I deserve to know what I'm eating.
Yes.
It was so surprising to me because I thought, here he is, I have to take care of him. And he was like, wait a minute, maybe you should enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, you yourself enjoy it.
Exactly. And that's how it started, when I understood that I count, that I matter.
So you went to a meeting to families of alcoholics or people who are addicted.
Friends of family of alcoholics.
Yes, so there is also in the whole organization, there are groups that are not only for those who are addicted.
Yes,
but
that
to
it's
the
a separate
families.
program for the addicted, that are almost like 180 different programs that use 12 steps for all different things. That are, for example, there is a group for narcotic anonymous, and then there is a families of narcotics.
Yes.
Then there is a group for gamblers, and then there is a group for families of gamblers. So there is help for the family, and it's so important that the family understands that yes, you can have a life.
Yes, sir.
And you do not have to be dragged down into. And also another problem is that because the family feels so strongly about for example, alcoholics, like I did, what happened is that we kind of try to remove the responsibility for his action. So we make his life easier, takes the consequences away from the alcoholic, like with my husband. I took the consequences away from him. So I made his drinking easier instead of more difficult so he will wake up. I actually gave him a comfort. And that's when I understood that, I realized that it's time. It's time to, I can love him, I can wish him well, but I need to take care of me.
And at that time, you went to the group, you started recovering yourself.
Yes.
And then how come that you joined the mission of the...
Well, what happened was that a friend of mine was in both programs, in the program for families and in AA. And she came to me. She was a member of management of Dr. Bob's home, the museum where Bob and Bill worked on the 12 steps for those 3 months in 1935. And she came, she was very upset, and because she was very unhappy how the management was working and so on. And she said that she wanted out. And I said, how do you get in?
Oh,
And she said, well, give me a description of who you are and so on. I'll take it to them. And I said, great. So I gave it to her. In the next month, the management called me. I walked into the meeting to meet with them, have an interview. I met them, and I knew most of them because I knew them from different meetings, from different activities like here and so on. So I knew most of them, and they took me in. And that's how I became a part of the management of Dr. Bob's home. I was there for 7.5 years.
7.5 years. You are now serving in this.
I am away from them now. By now, it's been a number of years, but I keep in touch. And now what I do is I basically have a Polish home, since I am from Poland.
Yes.
I have a Polish home in Akron, Ohio, for people who are in the 12-step program. And the people come. Akron has a celebration every year in June. We call it the Founders Day. That's a day when we celebrate Billy Bob and Dr. Bob's his sobriety. So at the Founders Day, Polish people from all over now know that they can come to my house, and we will have a celebration in Polish. And I also take them on a Polish tour all over Akron to show them historical sites.
Oh, how nice. So these people who come to your home, to your Polish home, are they all members of
different
AA?
Programs? Yes, not only to AA.
12 steps.
It's about the 12 steps, yes. They bring their families, and we have a big picnic. And it's really like a celebration like in here. It's really nice because many of them, when they come, they cannot speak English or they do not speak English well. And for them to see and experience their history, it's very difficult in English. There are materials that they can use in English, but if they don't speak English well, I give them the opportunity to understand, explain in Polish, show them places, and this way they can go home with a feeling of knowing, seeing, and experiencing.
Yes, and I think what I see, and I think they go home with the feeling that they are also a part of a big community.
Part of the world. Yes. This year I had people come from Denmark, from Sweden, from Germany, from Poland, from all over the United States, from Canada. I had people come for that celebration at my house.
That's what I think, what is very important in this program of 12-step program, that people all over the world who have this pain and problem of addiction, to be like a big family.
Big family, and that's it's so important for the families to understand. Yes. That's why I don't mind talking about this. I don't mind sharing my story, or my pain, or victory, whichever way you can call this, because we are all over the world, and you can find us all over the world, and we have the same problems. This is so interesting. I look at the old literature from 1974, for example, that was very primitive, very simple literature. And that literature talks about the same issues that it's now, that I hear from other people, from families, from friends. Yes. And it's still real, the same stuff. It maybe looks in a nicer way, and a more colorful pictures, and a better camera. But the problems and the feelings are all the same. And that feeling that you can go anywhere in the world and you can find a group. Yes. And people will understand.
Yes, and that is so important, because I don't know how it is in America or Poland, but I suppose, I'm not sure, but I think that in Lithuania, the alcoholism, or mostly, and also drug addiction already, narcotics, for the younger generations, but alcoholism is so deeply inside rooted because of the Soviet system.
Yes.
But the families, the wives and daughters or
Of course.
husbands, they hide a lot of the problematic that they experience.
Well,
And-
there is a lot of some of the people are ashamed.
yes, they
Like some women might be ashamed that they married somebody like that, or they came from that house and they home like that, and they
Right.
say, "I will not marry anyone like mine. Home will never be the same," and then all of a sudden
It's the
it's exactly the same. Or they will divorce an alcoholic, and they'll say never again, and then 3 years later they all of a sudden find themselves in a relationship that is the same.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important that that program for families will help a person to understand that they can change.
Yes.
They can approach, they can be happy, they can find life not necessarily of their own, but they can find their own happiness. They can find a way to help the addicted person by not interfering in the consequences and in their life.
Yes, that's true. So I'm happy this, conversation is happening and people could hear you who are so much close to the origins
exactly.
of the
Oh yeah, and I
program.
consider this a gift.
Yes.
And that's why I don't mind sharing, because I feel that I have a mission that was given to me by God or higher power, doesn't matter how we call this, but the power greater than me, and that I was given that opportunity, but I also feel that I have an obligation
Yes.
because of that, because I've been given this wonderful life. That program helped me, that the program gave me a courage to be me, courage to basically look forward. And my husband, when he passed away, he had 30 years of sobriety. I had a very, very good life with him once he got sober. And I feel this obligation that it's important, and gratitude, a lot of gratitude, to pass it on to others, to show them that there is hope. There is hope for the families, for the children.
Yes.
See, the children are in a trap. When there is a addicted family, the small children, they don't have a chance. A 12-year-old boy or girl cannot go and rent an apartment, cannot live as they separate themselves from the parent who is drugging or using or drinking, yes? So the children are basically in a trap. But if the mother or father will go to the program for the families, they can bring this home. They can give the child opportunities. The Alateen, it's a marvelous organization.
For teenagers,
For
Alateen.
teenagers, exactly. And the kids can learn to basically not hate this parent or look down on that parent, but understand that it's an illness,
Right.
and that they do not have to get drawn into, that they can live their lives, they can learn to have their own emotions.
Yes.
They don't have to be ashamed, they don't have to hide or pretend.
Yes, which is so difficult for a young person.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And especially
That's
in
why
this,
it's so
in this
important.
society today with all the social,
Yes.
media, and it's very hard for the young people.
But the help is available.
Right. So what I understood from your sharing now, that you personally went. First of all, you went to the meeting for the families,
Yes.
and then you brought the whole program of 12 steps to your husband.
My husband, unfortunately, he knew about AA, but unfortunately, he thought that he's better than that.
Okay.
So
That happens
that
quite often, right?
usually it happens that way.
Usually.
Yes, that's unfortunately, and he felt that he can control it, and he whatever, and it was disastrous. It was totally disastrous. I watched him, and that's why I said I watched him committing a slow suicide, and I was so afraid that he would die, because he was at the point. He was at the point when he it was almost like he was losing his mind. And my husband was a very calm, very quiet person, and he was scared. He was so scared because all of a sudden he was so angry inside, and he did not know. It was like almost he was in the amok, like a total unknowing what is going on. But thank God he had to decide that he wants help. And once he decided, I took him a second time for the treatment, and this time he started working on sobriety.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It's like listening to you. I see this wonderful, unfolding the story. It's like you are an acronym with where the origins of the AA or the 12-step program started.
Yes.
Then you have your own problem with your being a family of the addict, and then the addict that you are connected with is recovering, and now you're having this mission. So as I looked through the 12 steps before I knew them before because I had the chance once in my life to be in Al-Anon group for a short time, so I knew the steps, but today I just picked them again and kind of went through. So the last one,
the 12 step,
speaks about the mission. Yes.
Yes.
That
the 12 step basically talks about that we who work through the steps. I am so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That we who work through the steps, that we will gain a special understanding. We'll also gain the spiritual understanding. Because there is the 12-step program, it's a spiritual program. It's not religious. It's connected no matter what religion. But the spirituality exists in every one of us. No matter where we live, what language we speak, what culture we have. And the spiritual program will give us an insight. It will allow to become the person we wanted to be. And then we can help others. That we can give this hope. That's why we say that we share experience, strength, and hope to see other people who are members of the families, who suffer, who do not have to be destroyed just because they love someone.
So usually when people who are a member of a group of the program, 12-step program, if they manage hopefully to get through all the 12 steps and they come to the...
Well, really what happens is, it's not really as... the steps are not really that separate from each other.
Okay.
Because we hear them from a very first meeting. So certain ideas kind of click, but for everybody, different idea clicked at a different time.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of the program for the families. That basically each person takes what they like and leaves the rest. So that means if I like today, or if I understand today, or if this is the only thing I understand, I take this with me and not worry about all the other stuff, because eventually I will get it to the 12th step.
I see. So it's like, stepping
Yes, like a stepping stones in a way. It's very important to remember that, in AA and with addicted people, it has to be a certain type of a discipline. That has to be a certain type of a system.
Right.
When for the families, the idea is to really learn to live yourself. Learn to keep your hands off of that addicted person. Learn to love them healthy, but also learn to allow them to suffer consequences so that one day they will wake up. Otherwise, I prevent him from reality. And that's the important part for the family to understand, that yes, I still love, I still care, but I count. I am important. I have a responsibility to me. When I understood that my happiness, my internal comfort depends only on me. Nobody can give it to me. It depends only on me. Then I understood that I have a horrendous value and a responsibility. And I thought, wow, I matter to me. This is wonderful. Of course he mattered to me. And I cared about him. But I thought, I'm not going to let him destroy me, because if he's sick, he's going to destroy himself, and he will destroy me, and I will say, solve nothing. And when I understood that, I took care of me, and I also allow him to be who he is.
Yes.
And it worked out well.
And here we see you here in Lithuania on a mission.
On a mission,
on a mission, and feeling this responsibility to help other people. And we profit a lot out of you, and you are here. You are an elder lady.
Yes.
Really, it's
Yes.
so much respect to you, because some people say, "Oh, I'm old. I know. I'm done with all what I had to do in my life." But here you are. You went through the recovery. You helped your husband.
Yes.
And then many people all over. Could you tell our viewers and I'm interested how much you have traveled, or where have you been?
Well, I've been traveling quite a bit, especially in Poland and in Europe with a Polish-speaking group. There are Polish-speaking groups in almost every country. And of course the family groups.
Right.
We're talking about it, and I had a privilege, and I will mention that part. The AA has a big book written by Bill, and Dr. Bob, of course, had his input in, and so on, and the book got published for AA in 1939. And many years ago, sometime in the 80s, after one of the family meetings, a woman walked up to me. She was coming to our meeting for quite a while. I knew her. She walked up to me and she handed me a book. And she said to me, "I know that you always wanted a book, so here it is." And I was very surprised, but I thanked her. I said, "Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it." I took the book home. And then when I joined Dr. Bob's home, the management, they start talking about the first edition of the big book, which is very rare and very expensive. And I thought, "Oh, I wonder what I have." So I went and I looked, and here it was. The first edition of the big book, and the first printing. A very, very rare, very expensive book. And I looked at it, and first I thought, "Oh my God, what did she give me? Such an honor." And then I thought, does she know what she gave me? Does she realize the value of that book? So I went back to her and I said, "Listen, I appreciate it, but do you know the value of this book? Because I'm afraid that maybe you don't, and maybe I should give it back to you." And she said to me, "I knew exactly what the value it was, and that's why I gave it to you."
Amazing.
So now I felt responsible, not only honored, it was a huge honor, but I felt responsible that I need to do something with that book, because that's a book that you leave in your last will to somebody. That's not the book that you just... So I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with that unbelievable gift? It was so important. And Dr. Bob's has its own copy. The intergroup, AA intergroup in Akron also has its own copy. So I said, okay. So what do I... And I said, Polish people. I am from Poland, from Warsaw. I feel Polish. So that's what I did. In 2009, at their convention of 35 years, yes, I think, 35 years of AA in Poland. I gave it to them as a gift to the Polish AA.
Amazing.
So if you ever in Warsaw, go to the AA office, and here it is on the display, the big book, the original, the first copy, first print. And each time when I go to the office over there, I feel like I go home. I go to visit my book.
Amazing.
But it is, and you know, but what's so important about it was that she gave me, that she had this trust in me, gave me that. And then what I was happy is that I could give it to Polish people. And what happened is after I gave it to her and I came home, I was thinking, I wonder, because I did not see her for many years. She was much older than I. And I was thinking, I wonder, you know, I would like her to know what happened to that book. I wonder, does she wonder, is she still alive, and so on. And I was in a place that I usually just drive by and never stop by or whatever, and I decided to have a cup of coffee. I walked in and she was walking out. And it was just, wow, after so many years, because it was many years.
And you just thinking about her.
Yeah, and I was thinking about her, and she was walking out with a cup of coffee, an elderly lady, much older than I even now. And I said to her, Norma, I am so happy to see you. I have to tell you what happened. So we sat down, she finished her coffee, I got mine, and I told her about the Polish people, and that is in Warsaw and so on. And after I finished my story, and of course I told her, I said how grateful I am, and I want her to know how happy I am that I can tell her. And she looked at me and she said, you know, sometimes it's worth to go and have a cup of coffee.
That's amazing.
Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing. And you know, I'm listening to you to this event, this, you know, we could say coincidence, but we don't know.
No,
we know
there
that
is no
it's
such
not,
a thing.
No such a thing. But the whole story of 12-step programs with these two wonderful men who had big problem with alcohol. They met the same way.
Exactly.
It seems that the whole program is like the set of such moments.
Exactly. And see, this is what the beauty of it is, that each person, when I watch it like here at the meetings, different people, I always think about it, when did it click for them? When did that person understand that there is hope? See, this is the most important, there is hope. But you have to hang on to it. You have to do something with it. It will not come on its own, it will not stay on its own. The same for the families. There is hope, but the family has to want it to do something, want it to get better, get healthier, not to take care of the alcoholic better, or the addicted person, but to get better themselves, to understand that they have a value, that they are important, that they can pass this on to somebody else, help somebody else.
And you know, all these, well, I use again the same word coincidence, which we know it's not the right word, but these moments.
Those moments, those important moments that we don't know they are important until later on we understand how important they were.
Yes. And the program itself has this, all the 12 steps have this, I think this, as you mentioned before, this main line, which is higher power.
Yes.
The addicted person or the family member often feel that I'm totally powerless to deal with this.
Well, the fact is that we really are powerless over the illness of alcoholism. No matter family or the alcoholic, yes? We are powerless. But we are, does not mean that we are helpless and cannot do anything. We basically need to change our attitude and take care of the reality and not allow, especially the family, the alcoholic, to drag us down. And that's why that we are powerless over the illness. It does not mean that we are helpless over our own life.
Okay.
And with the help of a higher power. Now, higher power can be anything.
Right.
It can be anything, whatever helps you. It can be God, it can be nature, it can be even a chair. If this is what will I can hang on to and feel that this is my place on this
it's
chair.
your strength.
Yeah, it's my strength, it's in here. I am just here in this chair. This is my area, this is my place. I can, and some people meditate. They just sit somewhere and that's their place.
Find their space and
that could be their higher power. It's perfectly okay. Amazing. But it's important to understand that there is something that we can give the things away that are not ours. And that's the most important. Why, when I work with someone or when I try to help somebody, I always tell them that I have 4 questions. The first question is it mine? Do I really need to take care of it? Is it my responsibility? Did I do something wrong? Is it really mine? Am I supposed to take care of it? The second question is how much of it is mine? Because it could be that I done something a little bit, or somebody started and I didn't end it, and it's now the problem. So how much of it? What is my part in this situation? The next question is, if not me, who? If not me, who? Because it's important. It's important to stand up. For myself, for example, who takes care of me if not me? Why would I push this on somebody else taking care of me? And the last question, the 4th question, it's not, if not now, when?
It's if not now, when?
And those are the 4 questions that, in a way, for the family, it's very important to understand that it is totally doable if you look at it from that perspective. And if it's not mine, I can give it to my higher power. Yeah, please. It's not mine.
I don't need it.
I don't need it. There is nothing I can do about it. It's not mine. But this is very important to understand, and this is where the program, it's so very important to understand what is mine. how much responsibility. And also, I have a responsibility for me, for my happiness, for my comfort, for my health, for my sleep, for my food, for my clothes. It is mine.
It's so good. All these 4 questions, they are, you know, sometimes we as, you know, people, we need just like this, you know,
Points.
Direction points.
Exactly.
And that as 12 steps as the questions also, it helps to think over. And are these things what I think our time is running. I have a feeling. I don't have a watch, but I have a feeling.
Yes.
But are these what we are talking here now, and these questions and what you are telling us here, are the things that you are also speaking about to the participants of this camp, and usually when you help other people?
Yes,
and travel?
I talk about my experience because that's all what I can do. I do not preach. I do not try to convince somebody. I try not to explain. But what I try to do also is sometimes, especially in translation, it's very easy to lose exactly what, for example, the origins and what the 12 steps really mean.
Right.
So I help a lot with the translation, with the understanding of what's the origin, what does it really, what was on the mind, or what was written in original literature, to make sure that by translation we don't lose some of it.
Some important points, yes. And I know you also help people who research the program.
Yes, if there are questions. Sometimes I get the questions about something specific, some specific fact. I can go to Archivum in Akron, in AA archives, and I can look things up. I can read. I know English well, so it's easier for me to read and then maybe come back with a question or explain and so on and so on. I do that. Also, I was very fortunate. There was a person who wrote a book about me. So it's in Polish. It's not in English.
Not yet.
It's in Polish, yes.
Needs to be.
And it's. I also have a website. One of my friends in a program created a website for me. And on my website, you can find a lot of information about the program, and also my presentations, my lead, or however you would call this, different workshops. I do a lot of workshops in English and in Polish, so the person can select the language and can listen.
Okay.
Or this material also are posted on my website in English and in Polish. So there are references that are also pictures from Akron.
Wonderful.
Yes, from a cemetery and from a Dr. Bob's home. There is a lot of pictures, so it can made more real or closer for a person to imagine how it looked like, or how does it look like now.
Right, and I suppose especially for the people who are in addiction, to see the place where
Yes.
this anchor
Yes.
is started and the program started.
Young man, he came to when he came to one of my celebrations. I've been organizing this for 27 years now. A few years ago, a young man came, and after I took them on the tour of Akron historical sites, he walked up to me and he said, "Irene, I read all of it, but now when I saw it, it's real." And see, that's why I do it.
Yes.
Because this way I make it real for somebody. He will go home, and his sobriety might be stronger. He might feel more connected, more at home, and he has a better future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. And
well, thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity for the families. Please, please, please find help. It's available. It's out there. Please do it.
It's very important to hear it, because I think I'm not really sure. I'm not competent really so much to say, but I think in our country, we don't have too many groups for families.
That are groups, that are quite a few of them, and some of them are even in a small community.
Okay.
So it's possible that if it's possible, and I'm not sure is that appropriate to ask or not, but if it's possible on the end of the program, if the producers could put a phone number for Al-Anon in Lithuania. I know that I was told that Al-Anon in Lithuania has a number and an address, and also maybe information for World Service in Virginia Beach. That's international Al-Anon all over worldwide, and I think that information would be very helpful to the families.
Yes, I think so. And also, I'm sure at the end of this program, they could put also the links to the Akron home and to your website, and that people who hear the program
that are interested, that they could reach out.
They could reach out,
that would be
and
great.
they could
that would be a wonderful public service.
Do you have, for the end of our program, do you have some sentence or two for the people who hear us, and maybe they would like to look for help or get inspired to share with other people some,
What I think,
some wishing to.
Yeah, well, I wish everyone who is in a family, who is a member of the family, that they understand that they can be happy. It is possible. It does require work. I understand that. I was very unhappy, and I found that I can be happy. I can change my life, my attitude, and also help my husband. That I do not have to live in despair, because it was a time when I thought that God punished me by giving me an alcoholic husband, and then I felt maybe that I even deserved it. And until I realized that that's not how that works. That's not how life is. I'm not meant to suffer. I am meant to live and find a way to be happy without hurting anyone, but taking care of me. So I wish everyone that they will find that spot in their life.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
we
you.
can. We really can.
Absolutely.
Really can. And we wish you also the rest of your stay here in Lithuania.
Yes, I will go to the beach tomorrow when it's warm.
Tomorrow is going to be nice and warm. And thank you so much. I got myself very inspired by your energy, by your heart, which is so big on this mission. And I'm sure you have many plans and you're not going to stop.
I am, I have learned to enjoy every minute because I realize that, I'm getting older. But I had many, many good years, many happy things, and people have been kind. And I have learned that the old people need to also be kind and deserve to be happy. And I'll give you my website.
Yes.
And thank you. And thank you for having me. Thank you for an opportunity that I can pass a message to other people. Even if one person,
even if one person.
even if one, that person's life might change, and it's worth every effort possible. And that's all what matters.
Thank you very much. Dėkojame mūsų žiūrovams už šitą susitikimą. Šiandien laidoje Vilties miestas turėjome brangę viešnią Ireną iš Akrono, kuri yra 12 žingsnių programos viena iš koordinatorių, iš skleidėjų, ypatingai Amerikoje, Lenkijoje ir šiandien pas mus Lietuvoje. Dėkojame. Thank you. Viso geriausio.